My friends who came here today, despite the cold, despite the short notice, despite the fact that this nightmare has been going on for 129 days, I salute you. But more than that, I want to invite you to imagine. I want you to imagine tonight, while you're at home, while you're safe, hugging your family, in warm homes, with bellies full of food, thousands of miles from here, 1.7 million people wait with every breath for death to come. 1.7 million people, over half of whom are children, look to the sky in terror as the ground around them explodes from the bunker buster bombs that the Israelis have been dropping on the concentration camp that is Gaza. Now, after 129 days of mothers burying the shredded remains of their children, after 129 days of fathers picking the tattered remains of their children from concrete walls, after 129 days of starvation, of torture, of humiliation, of dehumanization, the Israeli army stands poised to deliver the killing stroke on a group of people with nothing behind them but the sea and nothing in front of them but a genocidal army of maniacs, of perverted murderers who post the slaughter of children and rejoice in it. All the while, our government here in the UK and abroad are filled with cowards, are filled with those complicit in the mass slaughter of children. I'm tired. I've had enough of watching kids beg for their lives. I've had enough of watching mothers asking why was their child blown apart. I've had enough of watching hospitals, of watching doctors, of watching medical students, my colleagues, get shot like animals in the street, get left to rot, not even given the dignity of a burial. I'm tired of watching Israeli bulldozers tear up graveyards, crush people sheltering in tents, all the while cowards here decry it, decry anyone acting against it as anti-Semitism, as hatred. Since when did saying children should not be killed classify as hatred? If that's what the government cheers, if that's what this society cheers, then I want no part in it. I want no part in it. I won't have it. For 75 years, the Palestinian man, the Palestinian woman, the Palestinian child have bravely stared down the barrel of death and refused to surrender. They refused to kneel. And we shouldn't surrender either. No matter how long it takes, no matter the obstacles in our way, we will show the Palestinians that they're not alone. That we will never abandon them. That we will never give in. That we'll never look to a world where children bury their parents, where children pick up the remains of their siblings, torn, pulverized by bombs, looking into a camera, asking for someone, anyone, to have the bravery to stand up and be met with silence, be met with nothing. I won't have it. I leave you with words etched into a wall in the West Bank. Words that resonate with every Palestinian, with every person around the globe under oppression, under the boot of apartheid. Those words ring in my heart today. Do not wait for a cruel and indifferent world to come to your rescue. Rise up, Rise up and stand. Take action. Don't wait for corrupt cowards in our council to say what they should have said 129 days ago. They're bought and sold for. They don't care. You can't appeal to the morals of someone who slaughters children, who bombs hospitals, who arms murderers and covers up their actions. I will never forget the fear in the phone call I heard days ago of the Palestinian teenager as an Israeli tank machine gunned the car she was in. A car filled with the gore, with the bloody, tattered remains of her family. And all that was left was a 6-year-old named Hind, who was terrified as darkness fell, as no one was left beside cold corpses beside her to comfort her, as she waited for an Israeli soldier to empty a magazine into her, to pump her full of bullets. Who does that to a child? I'll tell you who. The Zionist, the murderer, the criminal, the occupier who now holds Palestine. That's who. The people our government call ally. That's who. Never forget. Never forgive. Never let the fire die in your heart. For 75 years, the Palestinians have kept that flame lit. And now as they bear down on Gaza, I'm heartened by the words of a 6-year-old boy in a hospital there, one of the last ones that remained standing. He says, despite being wounded by shrapnel, despite losing mother, despite losing his father, he says with defiance, I am not afraid. If a child has that bravery, what excuse do we have? What excuse do we have? What excuse do all these people walking by have? 1.7 million people are now crammed in an area smaller than Newcastle. 6 times the population. Every person you've ever known who lived in this city, who's walking these streets, these buildings, that stadium, this mall, 6 times that amount of people, without water, without food, without safety, without anyone, without a single person being able to come in and help them. The only thing that this cowardly and cruel world lets us do is watch as children beg for their lives, as fathers carry the remains of their families in plastic bags. I refuse to be silent. I refuse to stand here waiting for councils, for corrupt politicians, for warmongering companies to take the right stand. There's a weapons factory here in our city that builds the tanks that crushes those children, that builds the tanks that destroy homes, that burn people alive with the ordnance that they indiscriminately fire. We need to take action. We need to be practical. We need to move by every means and by every way to stop this madness. I will never yield. I will never lose hope, because we've seen this for 4 months. They've seen this for 75 years. Half of Gaza was born after the blockade, born in a world where they never knew freedom, born imprisoned only to be kept in shackles. Their only crime was being born, was being Palestinian. The Israelis thought they could cut off Gaza from the rest of the world. They've turned the whole world into Gaza. None of us will forget. None of us will forgive. And when it's time for justice, because justice will come, It came with Martin Luther King in the States. It came when the apartheid regime of South Africa, with its backing and its nuclear weapons and its chemical arsenal and its soldiers, fell and was left in the dustbin of history. That is the fate of Israel. That is the fate of all those who would resign millions of innocents to death while we watch. Not in our name, not in our city for Raphael, not in this world will we ever allow an occupation, an apartheid, a criminal ideology, an ethno-supremacist, racist, murdering, brutal regime, the Zionist occupation of Israel. Never will we allow that to stay and live a day of peace, because they've never given the Palestinians a second of peace, a second to bury their dead, a second to mourn their losses, to ask, where's mom, where's dad, are they still alive under the rubble? Am I going to find them in one piece? Am I going to find my mom? Am I going to see my brother again, my sister? These are the questions everyone in Gaza now is asking. Every child in Gaza now who never had a chance at freedom, the only thing they've known is death. They're counting on us. They're counting on us to do more than chant slogans, to do more than just sign petitions. They're counting on us to take action. So I urge every single one of you here, every single one of you who braved the cold, who decided to come out here and show your support, to be bold, to be brave like the children of Gaza, like the children of the West Bank, who stare down tanks, who stare down soldiers, while all we have to do is blockade a factory. We can do better, we will do better, and from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
never lose hope, because that day, that sweet day, that day when every Palestinian can say, I am free, I am free, I am free. It is coming, it is coming, it is coming, inshallah.